All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Today is September 1st, 2020. Can you believe it's already September? My goodness, time is just flying by. And today, what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at trait 40. So what we're going to take a look at is the balance between struggle and liberation. This is also about, we're going to focus on quality 5, which is about rejecting negative forces. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. All right, so before we get started, of course, let's say hello to our panel. So hello, and welcome. So let's start with Rob. Hey, Rob, welcome.
Hey, everybody. So glad to be here.
Great to have you here. Welcome, Rob. And hey, Tuck, welcome.
Welcome. If it was morning, I could say rabbit, 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 since it's the first day of the new month.
That's correct. Great. Well, wonderful. And welcome, Tuck and Natalie.
I don't know what rabbit is. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm very sorry. But I'd love to hear this story of September 1st. So yeah, happy to be here. And I'm moving, well, whatever we're decorating. So I'm sounding a little bit hollow, maybe.
Well, it is great to have all of you with us. I'm Karen Sherwood, and let's jump into our BG5 Live. Again, welcome to everyone who's live here in our Zoom room and everyone who's listening via the recording. Unfortunately, we're having an issue with BG5 Live, or with the Facebook Live is what I should say. We've been having some issues with the Facebook Live. So we will have it up on the recording on YouTube. Also, you'll be able to find it on our website as well. All right, so let's jump in and get started. So again, what we're taking a look at today, again, is the balance between struggle and liberation. So again, rejecting those negative forces. And to start off, what we want to take a look at is we are continuing our journey through duality. Remember, what we've been taking a look at is connecting and bonding with each other. Now, in September, we're going to go through the themes that we're going to be taking a look at here in September. And so you can see the themes that we're going to be taking a look at are still both collective and tribal themes, just like it was in August. So I just found it fascinating that that of all the themes, again, there are no individual themes. As we take a look at the journey through duality, as we take a look at the core essence going through this particular month of September. So what we're going to start with, which we ended August with, is deliverance. Deliverance is in the 40. We talked a little bit about it last week. It's part of the global conditioning program that's happening right now as far as the era of planning. And it is the love of work. It's delivering what has been promised. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Now, just to give you an oversight of what September is going to look like, what we're going to take a look at next week is abstraction in the 64. This is confusion, but confusion can also be a source of inspiration. All right, so we're moving from the love of work to abstraction, this confusion as a source of inspiration. Then we're going to take a look at realization. It's interesting, the 64 and the 47 create a strength. And so that creates the strength with the 47 is the aha, where everything comes together. All of that confusion comes together and it pieces itself together, and all of a sudden it makes sense. So it's that aha. And then we move into friction in the 6. The 6 is the creative potential, and the 6 is also the source wave as well. It's connected to emotional intelligence, and it is the source wave of emotional intelligence. So we'll be taking a look at trait 6 this month as well. And then it will wrap up with determination in the 46, being in the right place at the right time. And actually September is going to end in the 18. I didn't add the 18 here because we'll take a look at the 18 as we move into October. So just to kind of give you a sense or a flavor of what September is all about. Now, a couple other things about September is, remember in August, we had two strengths that were defined. Remember, we had the strength of socialness in the 2212 that is going to be continued to be defined throughout the month of September. So this strength of socialness, this, remember, it's a very mutative strength as well. And so that is, and it's a very individual strength. So we're going to take a look at that. And it's the individual strength that mutates the collective. Again, we're also going to continue to have the 6124, which is really taking a look at inner truth. Right? So inner truth and socialness is still going to be a theme, a continued theme throughout September. So that's something to look for as well. Now, if we take a look at today, so this chart here is today's chart, we can see what's very interesting with the 40 is the 40 brings with it what's on the other side. And what's on the other side is the 37, right? The 37 is about community. And this is, it creates the strength of community. So this, the 37 is about friendships. It's about family, right? And together, along with work, creates that community. So it actually creates the strength of community. So you can see there's a lot of definition that's going on right now. And what's very interesting, we can see how emotional it may be. There's two emotional strengths currently. So one of the things that you want to take a look at and watch out for, particularly this week, and again, continuing through the month of September, is this emotionality, right? There's a lot of emotions that may rise up, come to the surface. Also taking a look with the 2212, you know, making sure you're doing things when you're in the mood. So that's just something to pay attention to. I also like to take a look at what's happening in communication as well. We're going to be taking a look at the 6 coming up, but we can see that currently communication is in the 6. So with communication, there may be some friction, but this also, again, is the source wave. So it can be emotional, and it also can spark some creative potential as well. And we'll dive more into the 6 later on in September, but I just wanted to give you a sense of what's going on. Anything for you, Rob or Tuck or Natalie, any additional things that you see or anything that has just been brought to mind in taking a look at where our journey continues as we move through September and move into September?
Yeah, it was interesting. I was saying to someone today, I don't have a lot of tribal energy in my chart. I have a lot of individual energy, and how awkward it feels at times to be in a group. I mean, I'm okay in a group, but after a while, I need to get out of the group. And I also have the 1222, which has been active, for a couple of weeks now. And so I find it fascinating that I have come into this group for a short period of time until you kick me out. No, but that was interesting because I said that today. If I eat with a group of people at dinner, after a while, I need to move out and get out of the group. But the 1222, since it's active right now, it feels really correct. So thank you for letting me in the tribe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and again, that's kind of as you were speaking of that with, you know, there's 2 individual strengths that are defined, yet as we move through September, the traits that are activated are collective and tribal. So it's interesting that the traits as we move through September are all collective and tribal, but the definition that is there, right? And this is definition, like I said, you know, it's been there for a while, right? This whole month of August, we had those 2 strengths defined as well. So it's interesting just kind of taking a look at that dynamic of the strengths that are individual, yet the themes that we'll cover over the course of September are collective and tribal. Very interesting. Cool. I see that there's a lot going on in the chat. I don't know if there's anything that is that's relevant.
No, not yet. I just was asking who has straight 40 and where do you have it, and what is your experience? So we'll get to there. So there are a few people who have straight 40, and Linda has the 37 on the other side. So What
All
I
right.
find fascinating, and this is one of the few strengths that actually are in opposition in the mandala,
Mhm.
so that you have the full strength being part of your life work here. If you know, if you have the 40 today, or the 37, you know, in half a year, they're actually opposite. Also, the 43-23 is also an opposite that you find in the life work. So it's a very strong, how do you say that, strength being part of, you know, 70% of who you are when it is in the conscious core essence or in the grounding balance. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this particular strength is part of that background, if you will,
Yeah.
of the era of planning, right? The era that we are currently in, that we are also currently moving out of as well. Anything, Rob, that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so what I want to add, it actually has to do with my involvement with all of the BG5 lives that I've been on, and a pattern that I'm seeing. So I'm actually designed to see patterns. And then, you know, each week we get a chance to take a look at, you know, and maybe even take a look back at where we're coming from and where we're headed. And over the weekend, this just came in on me when I was driving. This thing of with us humans, how we really want order, right? And we want to know that there is a way or a path, you know, and an order, a higher order to things. And what had occurred to me is, as we're going through this and as we're looking at this, this is the order, this is the organization that we're all seeking here, you know. I don't know, that I wanted to share that because when I looked at points 1 through 5 here, I was like, wow, this is the order, and this is where it's coming, and, you know, all of these things. So it's very glad to be a part of this as well.
Yeah, exactly. And really beautiful point, a point, Rob. And this is, I know for myself personally, just kind of being able to see this and seeing it laid out. You know, we kind of see the steps, we see the progression, we see what's coming up. So it can bring us present to, you know, what challenges we may be facing, what lessons we may be learning, you know, what's going on in the bigger world and the bigger environment, you know, both personally as well as professionally, as well as globally. And just to see these patterns can be really powerful in understanding, you know, things that are going on, and knowing in a sense that you're not alone, and that, you know, this is the process that everyone is going through.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, very cool. So let's take a look at deliverance. And this is one of the things that I found really fascinating. Now, typically when we take a look at Labor Day is usually the first Monday in September is Labor Day. So this year it's actually next week. So it's actually next Monday. But typically Labor Day falls within this period where we happen to be in trait 40. And when we take a look at trait 40 is the love of work. Right? So how appropriate that we have a holiday here in the United States that celebrates, in a sense, those that work, right? Celebrating workers, you know? So I, again, you know, just kind of seeing those patterns and seeing those things show up, it's like, wow, right? We have a holiday that even celebrates what we're taking a look at today, right? Which is the love of work. Did you want to add something, Rob?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool. So let's jump in and let's take a look at what this deliverance is all about. Now, one of the things about deliverance, it's also this aloneness, and it's this aloneness working for the good of the tribe, right? Whenever we take a look at, we were taking a look at the 37 on the other side, which is about family and friends, right? On the other side, it's, you know, aloneness. So it's in a sense, this working alone for the good of the tribe. And this is also the power of the will to deliver, right? So it's delivering what has been promised. So when we take a look at trait 40, this is the love of work. It's also known as the foreman as well when we take a look at OC16. The foreman is the person who kind of, you know, sees how everybody's working, what the pace of everybody's work is, so they can determine when they need to rest and when they can work. right? And, so there is always a constant balance between working and resting, between working and playing, between working and taking a break, between working and connecting with others and bonding. Right. So it's the love of work. It's the Foreman. It's also what we talked about in the title, the point of transition between struggle and liberation. So we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. And it's the survival of the community. And the survival of the community is dependent upon a sustained and strong will. When we take a look at OC16, kind of the center of the tribe, we find the willpower, and the willpower is ultimately what connects to the voice of the tribe. And this is, in a sense, what also holds the tribe together and makes sure that the tribe survives, both materially on one side, but also, through community and balancing that work on the other side, right? So that it's necessary, this strong will is necessary for the survival of the community. Again, it's very, very tribal. So when you are involved in work that is right for you, you derive satisfaction, a great satisfaction from delivering what you have promised to those that appreciate you, right? So this is also an advisor strength. So this is also a strength that needs to be recognized and invited, right? So therefore, it also does need to be appreciated as well. And you are willing to exert your power in order to provide for your tribe if there is a bargain in place. So again, if we take a look at that strength of the 3740, this is really, part of this strength is really about that bargain, making sure that there is a bargain in place, right? I will do this work for you, but I need to get my rewards. I need to have rest. I need to get paid, etc. So there has to be a bargain in place as well. So I would love to hear from our panel, just your observations, your thoughts, anything that comes to mind as we're taking a look at trait 40, that trait of deliverance. Would you like to start, Rob?
Sure. So I will say that I'm definitely feeling this in my environment right now. If I reflect back so typically on Sundays, I'll put my week together, or at least take a look at, where I need to put the things that require, that can't be moved, right? That must happen. And there is this undercurrent for me, this urge, if you will, or energy, to like really get after it this week. And that love for work. I brought on a brand new client, so I'm all jazzed about that. And I'm, putting in the extra. I was up until like midnight last night doing extra stuff just to make sure that the start of it's good so that I can deliver on what was promised. And I'm actually like getting more energy from doing that. However, I don't possess the 40, but I do, I do feel this in my environment. So, and I'm definitely, especially like this last bullet point really speaks to me. I'm definitely willing to exert my power in order to provide for my tribe because there is a bargain in place. So
yeah,
that's what I'm currently experiencing, and I'm having fun with it.
Nice. Yeah, beautiful example, Rob. Thank you for sharing that. How about for you, Tuck?
What I'll say about the 40, it's not so much what I'm feeling right now as what I experienced. Both my brother and my daughter have the 40. And my daughter actually has the 3740 in the way that you were speaking of it, Natalie. The 40 is in her core essence. She has her own business. She's 36. And it's a dance studio down in Sarasota, Florida. And she's danced since she was 3 years old. So it's what she has always felt like she was, supposed to do. And her business is celebrating its 10th year this year. She has gone through some personal struggles over these past years, personal sobriety, her tenacity, her will, her stick-to-itiveness. Her business is called Soul Studios. And the contributions and the testimonies that she gives are about her strength and her capacity to liberate herself in her struggles and to still be here with a solid business during this pandemic. You know, I was reading as you were going through all of the bullet points, and that energy, that strength, the power, the will is so obvious to me when I look at how she works. And the balance of the work and the rest is definitely something that I've experienced. Could be embraced in a more powerful way, but the struggle between that liberation, the energy between the struggle and the liberation with her, I feel that work and rest a lot. And then with my brother, I'll say this briefly, he is hysterical when he comes to visit. He consistently wants to know, what is it that I can do for you and Larry to fix up your house? And it really is about the satisfaction that he gets. Like, job well done, huh? You did really good. So I have them more in my life than I do feeling anything specific right this minute.
Yeah, beautifully shared, Tuck. Thank you. Yeah, and yes, Natalie.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. So as I shared, I'm redoing my home, so I'm really happy with this power this weekend. We've done a lot, and my family came to help to sand and to paint and that stuff. So in return for a real nice lunch and some drinks and a beverage, and I made soup and whatever. So it was really cool. But the other thing I loved so hard, one of my colleagues here in the Netherlands, Linda, she has the 40 and I have the 37. And she is exactly as your brother. Like, it's like every time when we meet, okay, so what do we do? You know, she's also a manifesting generator. So it's incredible. And I'm just, all about the fun. And 37 on the other side is, making the social bonds and creating the places in large organization to meet up, etc. But it's really interesting, and seeing myself go like this weekend. My family was only here on Saturday and Sunday and Monday, and I just boom, it's almost done.
Yeah. And what a wonderful example too, because it's like the family and friends, this community coming together, right? To create something, right? To build something, to deliver something, right? Yeah. Really beautiful example of really what this energy is all about.
Karen, you're resonating something in me. Jamie and I have been talking, my daughter, about her looking for grants for her business based on what's happening, and that all of the testimonies that she's been getting from her clients, they refer to soul as a family. Like almost everyone would say, we're not a business, we're a family. I found that interesting.
Exactly. And again, this is really part of what this is all about. This is working together for the good of the tribe. This is, a working to make sure that the tribe survives moving forward into the future. Right. And again, that point of transition between struggle and liberation, I think it's just kind of an interesting thing to take a look at when we're taking a look at deliverance, because, sometimes the struggle is about getting the work done. Right. And then you finish it and you have this liberation of being able to deliver what you promised on. Right. So there's always, in a sense, this balance and this point of transition between, the struggle to get it done and the liberation, and then the celebration and the community coming together to also celebrate that accomplishment as well. So it's very, very rich. Beautiful. Now, when we take a look at and kind of get down into, is there any, actually, before I move forward, is there anything in the comments or the forum?
Yeah, so Lisa has this in her design and in her unusualness, and she really says it. I think this is really what helps me as a manifesting generator, as a an express builder, since I love to start many things and I have a strong drive to finish and do have a great satisfaction in delivering and getting things done. And Linda is sharing, I'm feeling the energy as an underlying pressure to get things done. And it feels a bit like stress and has been exhausting.
Yes.
So yeah, you can really experience it in different ways.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, and especially if you don't have it, right? Sometimes that can put some extra pressure that may end up being uncomfortable. It's more of that struggle. Remember, there's struggle, and then that leading towards expectation. So again, this is a very conditioning force, and this has been a conditioning force for the last 400 years as well, by the way. So it's kind of interesting to think about that. Because this conditioning force is starting to move away, because this is all a part of the era of planning, right?
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. We have so Rebecca's raised her hand. She wants to share something, but I see that we cannot give the mic anymore to people here.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's
well,
not
maybe I can. Who is it?
Rebecca.
Hold on, let me see. Because it allowed to talk. There we go. Maybe it's only me.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, Karen. Okay, so how does this relate? So I have 40 defined. I have 3 times in my design, and I have the full strength consciously. And I'm just, so we're about to enter into the 3rd phase of the 3rd semester of the certification, and the suggestion was to get a small group together. And so we met for the first time on the weekend, and without really knowing what direction it's going to go. But part of my design also is that I work well in small groups and in partnership, and I've always tried to do my practice by myself. So it's kind of this big leap of faith to go in the direction of possibly my design. And also knowing that the more I follow my design, the more it opens up to me. So without really having any idea what the small group is going to do, we decided to start with, just doing an overview for everybody's design, and then see what direction, because the group is it's not my group, it's a group, it's to benefit the group. And so, but it's very exciting because to be part of something bigger, and then also to know that there's pieces I can bring to it, just like other people will bring their strengths to it.
Yeah, and amazing that so the group just came together this weekend.
Yes, it was the first time on Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
Exactly, that building of the community, right? That socialness on the other side as well, that really grounds it.
And there's a bargain in place somehow that who knows what it's going to do. The bargain is that we'll meet and we'll see what the direction is, and it feels like we're all committed, and we aren't all. There were new people coming into the group. There's 4 of us so far, and we're thinking, do we need a 5th? So anyway, it's fun. It's very fun, but it's this gentle movement of me going out of my comfort zone, and in the process actually following my design.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Rebecca.
Yeah, and Rebecca has the full strength conscious and the 43 times. So
yeah, exactly.
So knowing that, Karen, is Rebecca the person we send in when like things just aren't getting done? Does she just show up and like, what would you say to that?
Again, it depends on other aspects of her design, of course, but but yes, this is, anyone who carries the strength also. I mean, Natalie doesn't have the 40, but she has the 37. There's this ability to bring people together. Because remember, the 37 is active as well right now too. So it's this ability to bring people together, to work towards something that's bigger than yourself. Right. So, yeah. I think it's awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Welcome.
Oh, very, very cool. And again, if anybody else wants to share, again, you can either type in the comments or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you to share as well. Now, I wanted to take this one step further because we're also taking a look at the trait that it's in today, which is quality 5, which is very interesting. It's about rigidity. It's the messenger. Remember, whenever we're taking a look at the 5, this is the messenger. This is, coming in, making sure that things are fixed, right, and stepping out. But this is the recognition that to achieve liberation, all negative forces must be rejected. And if we take a look at the elevation is the power of the ego, because again, when we're taking a look at willpower, it's also connected with the ego as well. So it's the power of the ego maintained in the rejection of negative relationships. So it's the revolutionary that demands absolute victory. And it's going to be interesting as we take a look at the celebrity that it ties into as well. And then if we take a look at the challenge, right? The challenge is the weakness of the ego in its loneliness to maintain and not reject negative relationships, a tendency in revolution to accept a certain amount of necessary deviation on the assumption that it can be successfully purged later. I'm just going to give you a little hint here. It's Keanu Reeves, who is born on today as well, who has the 40 in quality 5. And so, one of his biggest roles was in The Matrix. So I often kind of see this, if we take a look at what this is all about, we can kind of, think about his role in the Matrix as well. And we can see that it's also reflected. But it's interesting that it happens to be here. I just had an experience just yesterday that we were dealing with that, that it's very easy right now to get involved in, scams or people taking advantage, of others, unfortunately. And we had a situation with a friend of mine who got caught up in a scam. So we've been working on, the power of the power of the ego to reject the negative relationships. So, making sure those relationships are cut and, kind of demanding absolute victory and making sure that that situation does get taken care of. Right. So it's the recognition that to achieve liberation, all negative forces must be rejected. And that's kind of what I've been dealing with the last couple of days in helping this person, clean up some pieces that were not so nice and getting rid of some of those negative forces. So how about for any of you, any experiences or thoughts or any recognition in what's going on?
What defines negative? I'm thinking about the world right now and the polarity, the duality of the different perspectives. And because I experience rigidity on both sides, as in, not fully opening up to see the whole picture. So mine's more of a question, like who decides which side's negative? But it's interesting, will we deliver ourselves out of this is a great question. Right.
Yeah. And that's a really great observation, Tuck, because I think you're spot on too. Seeing the rigidity on both sides, that no one wants to give, right? And this rejection on either side. Yeah.
Isn't it, the fifth line, it's not, the sixth line has the full overview. However, when I contemplate the fifth line at times, it also has a 360 kind of view as well. And I'm not thinking, but I'm going, okay, maybe the deliverance is being able to accept both sides. And that's how we get out of the duality and the polarity of it, is that we see both sides. And that maybe the fifth line is the rigidity is not to be rigid and force ourselves to have one view, but to have a total view, a holistic view.
Yeah. Good point, Tuck. Yes, Rob.
I mean, I'm just thinking of this from like an executive perspective or a planning or an initiative type of perspective. And when I look at quality 5, and especially the elevation component, this is it's that leader, or it could even, it could be a foreman, but it could be, it's the person who's standing for the thing, right? Whatever that is. And they're basically, much like what Tuck said, they're acknowledging that there is negativity, right? And maybe someone, if I'm the executive per se in this example, and I've got someone who just can't seem to wrap their head around the plan, and so they keep coming up with reasons why this can't be done or shouldn't be done or those types of things, where I just, I'm like, great, thank you. We're moving forward. Right? We're moving forward. And by the way, please don't poison the well. I would really like for all of us to do this and then kind of resell the whole thing as an executive, which executives have to do quite a bit, as to why it's good for the organization, why it's good for the individuals, why it's good for the vendors, why it's good for the customer, etc. But it's the rejection. It's, this picture that you put in here, it encapsulates that quite well, I think, where it's just like, we communicate physically, right? So, this is basically, everyone just kind of gets the idea. There's no question.
Yeah. And, and Rob brings up a very good point, right? Oftentimes as a leader, when, you start to see these negative forces starting to sink in, for example, if, with the challenges that we've had this year, and it's like, oh, our business is going over, and it's like, no way. It's not going to go under. We are going to do whatever it takes, having that willpower to say, yes, we may have these negative voices in our heads. We may have all these negative circumstances happening in the background, but we are going to survive. We're going to survive as a business. We're going to survive as a team. We're going to survive as a tribe moving forward. So in a sense, it's, rejecting anything that's going on that's negative, and the negative, relationships. There may be relationships, within the group that is pulling everything down. It may be time to, get rid of that person, if things are not working correctly, or if that person, is poisoning the apple cart, as you said, Rob. So, you can look at it at many times, and, sometimes the weakness is, okay, well, we're not going to reject them because we really need them. We're going to hold on to them, in a sense that can be successfully purged later, but, we need to hold on to them for the time being, even though they're a negative force, because we need their, whatever it happens to be. We need their ideas. We need their manpower, whatever that happens to be as well. Yeah. Did you have something to add, Natalie?
No, I was actually looking at Rob's expression. Did you have something to add, Rob?
Well, I mean, Karen, as you were just talking about this, it shed light on a conversation I was having just yesterday with a colleague of mine here in Dallas, where we were talking about, and this happens with every group, right? And, when for those of you that are participating in this, or you're watching it in the future, if you haven't done OC16 yet, when you get to that point, you get to learn a lot, all right? Like group mechanics and why things are. It's very cool, okay? I can speak from experience. And we were talking, so in our current group of 250 desk running recruiters, there's this group think, right? This bought into mentality of, well, this is just kind of how it is, blah, blah. But over here to the side is a smaller contingent. I'm one of them, and so was this person I was speaking with yesterday, who kind of wants to rise above this and move things forward and actually bring to life all of the things that this group of 250 possess in terms of leverage and other things. But the other ones, because they're so stuck in the group think and how things can't happen and why they can't happen, they're kind of stuck there. But me and this other smaller contingent, we're going to move up and move this forward and kind of create a new group agreement, if you will. And we were talking about rejecting negative ideas. so when you were talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, I had this conversation yesterday. This is so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost sounds like you're renegotiating the bargain too, like in a interesting sort of way, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's
Anything more that you would like to add, Natalie?
No, I'm just fascinated. That's really, really a cool example.
Yeah,
of how this
exactly.
operates. Yeah.
And remember quality 5 is also the heretic as well, right? So it's kind of rejecting what's the status quo, what Rob was talking about, the group think, and how do we move forward in a different way, in a more positive way. Yeah, exactly. So as we talked about the celebrity is Keanu Reeves. And if we take a look at what the life work theme is, so he has trait 40, quality 5 as his life work theme, as his core essence. So the life work is migration. So you move or migrate, waiting to bring progress, development, and change to the next community or valley. And so if you just take a look at Keanu Reeves, and especially in the role that made him the most famous, he's been in a lot of movies, but the movie that he's probably most known for is the computer hacker Neo in the science fiction thriller The Matrix. Again, this film was a commercial success and won 4 Academy Awards. He's a Canadian actor, author, comic book writer, director, and musician. But again, this is really what he's best known for. And if you take a look at what his role of Neo is all about, it was, about this rejecting of the negative forces. It was, moving from, this world of being in the matrix, migrating into being able to see and navigate the matrix, right? And then taking a look at how do you purge those negative forces. So again, it's really fascinating to look at and see, different actors and performers and how they really play out, what those roles are. We always kind of joke about Keanu Reeves being a bit rigid. So I was just giggling that, rigidity is part of his life work theme. So it's very, very fascinating. So you can see that he has that particular strength as well. Anything, Tuck or Rob, that you see, or Natalie, that you see or want to share?
Yeah, I just have to think of the red pill, right? Because it's the red pill or the blue pill in the Matrix. So the 45 for me now is the red pill. So like really, the Matrix, bye-bye.
Yep. And starting to see where we might be asleep, and then starting to see maybe those negative forces as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob.
Resonates with me. Yeah, the name of my business entity is Red Pill Strategies.
Cool.
Yeah, and if we take a look at it, in a human design BG5 context as well, right? The negative forces of conditioning, right? Not following our decision-making strategy, the negative forces of being controlled by the mind, right? So we can take a look at it in that way as well. Beautiful. Anything else from our chat? We don't have our Facebook Live.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, very, very cool. It has been a really amazing discussion. Thank you all for being here. Again, oops, I left it tomorrow. It's already happened. Sorry about that. But you can have so you do have access to the replay now. So Tuck did just an amazing job. And if you want to find the 5 ways to access your greatest gift at this time of transition, you can still get it online. We have the Zoom, but this is where you can actually get the replay here as well. And today also is the final day for our early registration pricing. So if you are listening now and you are planning on taking classes in September and you haven't registered yet, make sure you register before midnight tonight. And then also just wanted to let you know, if you're new to BG5 and human design, you can follow along and kind of taking a look at what the theme is each day by going to our website and clicking on BG5 Live. You can also find our past episodes by going to the free resource library, or you can get a free report and find out what your career design is all about. And again, check out our different courses. And again, we have lots of courses that are coming up in September. We would love to have you join us. Again, Tuck's going to be teaching the BG5 Foundation course, which is getting started here in September soon, I believe the 16th. And Natalie is teaching semester 1 of BG5 certification. So if you've done either the BG5 Foundation course, or if you have done any of the Human Design Foundation courses, you can step into BG5 certification with Natalie. So highly recommend you check them out. We're going to be sending out some emails. We'll be talking about it as well, but you can also attend the first class free. So if you want to just, you're not quite sure and you want to just test it out, you can, again, sign up to be able to participate in the very first class as our special guest. All right, everyone, it has been our absolute pleasure. Now, before we wrap up, what I'd like to do is hear from each of our panelists. And of course, if there is anyone here in our Zoom room that would like to type in, or you can raise your hand as well if you'd like to share. Just a few words of wisdom, thoughts, or things for people to pay attention to as we continue to move through this trait 40. So would you like to start, Natalie?
I'm contemplating. I don't know. I'll take the last seat.
Okay, we'll come back to you. How about for you, Tuck?
I know we said it, I feel like we said this last week, and it had to do with being present to and observing the energies. My humor sometimes, I'm not sure how people take it, but something came to me about 3 days ago. I picked up the phone when someone called me and I started to sing "I'm an Old Cow Hand" from the Rio Grande. And so when I looked at the slide that you put up there a minute ago, and it was about work and the Foreman, because I remember saying to Anine, why am I singing this song? Like it just came out of nowhere. And so be present to, the energies really are there, even when I'm not aware that they're there. So that's my ad for the day. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tuck. And how about for you, Rob?
I think Tuck just a bow on the whole thing. So.
Cool. And Natalie, anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, I not really, actually. Just be present and take advantage of the energy if you want to get your house redecorated. But and otherwise, don't. If it feels like pressure, just breathe through and follow your decision-making strategy. Be true to what your body wants, and if you don't want to work, if it's just a pressure from outside, don't. Then
Yeah,
So.
and I think that's what Natalie just said, I think is really important. Remember, because the entire strength is here, the things to kind of pay attention to and look for is, what is this balance between work and play? What is this balance between working alone and being a part of a group or a community? What is the balance within the bargain? Are people following the bargain or not? Does the bargain need to be renegotiated? Right? Are there negative forces that may be standing in your way? Now, those negative forces can be, could be people, could be situations, could be circumstances, could simply be, right, making decisions from your mind, just mind chatter as a negative force. So taking a look at and just paying attention to what negative forces may be there, right, that you can release that allow for that stronger bond, that stronger community. Because again, remember, we're taking a look at this duality, this bonding, this, connecting with others. So where can we connect with others to work for something that's bigger than ourselves, right? And in working with someone, something, working for something bigger than ourselves, again, also rejecting those negative forces. I think Vic Fangio is our coach for the Denver Broncos. And one of the things that he talked about when he first became coach is, what did he call it? He called it death by inches, meaning that if you give too much, right, then that can, and if you're not really, strict and not getting rid of that negativity right away, right, it can then, death by inches, it can start to, take you down. So really taking a look at what is truly you, following your decision-making strategy, and and taking a look and enjoying that connection and that community when it's there. And if enjoy working alone, but making sure there's always this balance. And again, always making sure ultimately that you're following your decision-making strategy. All right, everyone, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so very much. And we'll see you on next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.